So the very first thing we're going to do here is roll call. And I know I can see and hear everyone, but I'm going to go through roll call. So Bill,
Here.
Steve, Bob,
Here.
Leroy,
Uh-huh.
Frank. Frank might be on mute, but I can see him. Ike,
Here.
Mary,
Last but not least.
aye. Okay, so I don't see Eric yet, so hopefully he'll be able to join us. We're not gonna go quite in order of the agenda today because, as you can maybe see, Gary Pope, David Cheatwood, and Emily are joining us. But I am going to do, and I know we don't do a good job of this, but I am going to do the Pledge of Allegiance before we get started. So let's get started on that. So I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag
of the
of the United States of America,
And to the republic, which is
which is one nation, under God,
Liberty.
indivisible,
and justice for all.
Justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
on the screen next time.
We always tease that we won't make a chorus over a Zoom meeting. But we have good intentions. I'm going to hold off on approval of the minutes and stop right there. So we have 3 motions that we need to discuss tonight for approval. And the first one is that Suchitra sent out the draft of the financial statements for fiscal year ending June 2020. And Emily's on the line in case you have any questions, but we need to approve these financial statements because they need to be submitted to the county, to Charleston County. So does anyone have any questions?
Deb?
Yes.
Art right here. Did you
Yes.
circulate the financials?
No, you got them from Suchitra about a week ago.
It was just a presentation.
No, she sent out the actual financial statements. Let me find the email. I'll tell you the date. Just a second. So they were from Suchitra.
Yeah.
Did everybody else get a copy of the financials or is it just me?
I got them, Bob.
I got
Okay.
it.
I got it. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
It was 54 pages long, so you would have known you you would have known it.
It was October 1st, Deb.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just saw it here. Yeah, so it's from Suchitra on October 1st, and like I said, it was 54 pages long. So does anyone have any questions for either Suchitra or for Emily?
Bob, I do see that I've sent it to you. Your email address is listed in here. It was sent on 10/1 at 11:58 a.m.
Yeah, I got the presentation. I guess I didn't see that the financials must have been separate or something.
No,
It was a separate.
I
It was
did
a
not.
separate email.
Okay.
There's 2 items.
PowerPoint presentation, both in the same email.
Yeah, both were sent in the same email, Bob.
Okay. My bad.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial statements so that they can be, sent to Charleston County. We did get a presentation from Emily on the summary of the financial statements. So we did see what the summary was for fiscal year, no issues. And then, like I said, the actual financial statements with, various comments, et cetera, is about 54 pages long. So it is, pretty detailed. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial statements. Do I have a second?
705, Battalion Pizza.
Leroy, did you second it?
Yes, I did.
I got it.
Okay. So okay, so headquarters, you're not muted and you're cutting off people. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Any abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Okay, so that's 7 approved and 1 abstain. And Eric, I don't see that Eric joined us. So that's 7 and 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Emily, well, I appreciate you joining us.
Oh, made it easy for me.
There you go. It's the shortest meeting of the day. So if you want to go ahead and drop off, I appreciate you taking the time.
Okay, thanks y'all so much.
All right, thank you, Emily.
Thanks, Emily.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Okay, so Gary Pope and David Cheatwood have also joined us. So the next thing that we'd like to talk about is the bond resolution approval. We did go over the bond discussion presentation that David and his team have put together. And then I did circulate the bond resolution that Gary put together for us. And before we go any further, I did send out a revised copy of the bond discussion document today. I don't know if you all got a chance to look at it, but I wanted to let you know that David updated it for me and there were a few changes. So on slide, let's see here, one slide. Let me find the right page. I think it's, yeah, it was on slide 4. In the very first bullet, it was noted the mill breakdown between the operating millage and the debt service millage. And the operating millage had been misnoted in that first bullet. It's supposed to be 26.4 mils, and David corrected that for us. So that's one change. And then if you go to slide 10, we had a meeting with Mac Giles on Thursday, October 8th. And we went over the presentation with Mac, and he did have, some very good comments about our presentation. And so on slide 10, when we went through, where we currently are, and we went through all our projects, and then we started to talk about, what we were going to do in 2 phases. And we got to slide 10, and we said for phase 2, we will require a 1 mil increase. And Mac said, I don't think now's the time, even though it's 2024 that you're mentioning, you may have to do this. He said, I don't think it's a good time to say that you will be doing a 1 mil increase. He said, I think you need to change that word to may. So in phase 2, we may require 1 mil increase. So we did change that, verbiage for 2024. And then David added a paragraph here to explain why. So there were 3 reasons why we may not need a mill increase in 2024. And Max said by explaining this, we do have a better chance of county council supporting us. So one reason was for the interest payment, whether we do the bond anticipation note or whether we actually do go bond. The first thing is he said we shouldn't pay interest out of that. We should pay the interest out of the fund balance. The second thing I mentioned to him about, purchasing Main Road and that in the future that we were looking to sell Maybank property. And it would be no later than the city of Charleston building an additional fire station on Johns Island. And he said we should note that those proceeds from the sale of Maybank would also assist us in not necessarily needing a mill increase in 2024. And lastly, we just had a reassessment of the values of the properties. And he said already in this new reassessment, he said he estimates that our revenue will increase by $200,000. And so he said we will see that, coming forward. Now, we know there's still that flip side of with the coronavirus and people being out of work and property taxes may fall a little bit behind, but he said we we already are seeing a little bit of an increase. So we changed that on slide 10 to be a little bit more descriptive. And then lastly, when you look at the calendar, in January, we had January 16th as the third reading for the bond resolution, but the county had just received the updated calendars for 2021, and that third reading would have had to be pushed to January 19th. So David made an adjustment on that date and then adjusted all the future dates. So the calendar is just a little bit different than what the original. And those were all the changes we made in the bond discussion. And then I circulated the bond resolution document that Gary put together. And I didn't know if any of you have a question about the bond resolution document. It is written noting what some of our projects are, but as we always take a position, we don't go into too much detail in this document. So Gary is on the call. Do any of you have any questions about the bond resolution document?
None.
Okay. So we will be sending the package to County Council, and you can see on your calendar, we're going to send the package on October 30th. So that'll kick off this process. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the bond resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Bill was a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Okay, 8 ayes have it. Okay, so Gary and David, I appreciate you joining us. Is there anything else that you want to go over with us before you drop off the call? You're on mute, Gary.
No, I'll just second what Emily said, and thank you for making it a really easy meeting. I appreciate it.
That's my goal.
I think we're all set.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Gary.
Thank
Have
you.
a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just move forward on the third motion. So the third motion for this evening is the purchase of 825 Main Road. And where we're at on that is we received the final updated agreement, and I did sign it, and the chief delivered the agreement and the first $25,000 deposit. And that was done on September 14th or 15th, right around that date, but it was dated September 14th. So now within the agreement, we're in the middle of due diligence, and I'm going to open it up here in a minute to talk about the environmental study again. But in the agreement, the next step in the agreement is we have to let them know by this Wednesday, October 14th, if we want to continue forward with the agreement. And so we need to talk about that tonight, and then, make a motion, make a motion to go forward on that. And then Donald, I wondered if you can validate. I wondered if you can validate the other dates. I think October 14th is when we need to respond on if we want to move forward. And then if I understand the agreement correctly, we would pay another $25,000 non-refundable by
Correct.
November 14th. And then I think the final payment of $1,450,000 would be due on December 14th. Am I correct in understanding the time frame?
That's my understanding as well. And the letter that I was sort of drafted once we finish our vote tonight was to double check those dates and tell them that was our understanding and let us know if there was any problems with it. But that's the same way I read it as well.
Okay. And so what we would do with that final $1,450,000 is we would obviously be paying that out of the current bond funding that we have, but then we would move forward with this next request that would be finalized by February. So we would replenish our bond funds prior to needing that funding for next spring to make the final payment for Station 4. So we'd be okay. Worst case scenario, if for some reason the county wouldn't approve our request for funding, we do have our fund balance that we would have to, utilize. When we talked to Anna Johnson, she appeared to support us because she even said, and I think I mentioned this once before, maybe another meeting, but Anna's comment on Main Road was she thought it was a good idea for us to purchase Main Road and get off of Maybank and to sell the Maybank property, because she said she's seeing the city of Charleston continuing to come down the Maybank highway corridor and continue to incorporate Maybank into the city of Charleston. And she felt moving into the unincorporated part of Johns Island on Main Road was a good idea. When we talked to Matt Giles, he was very helpful in his comments, and I already went over some of his comments about the mill increase. I could tell, I sent him the PowerPoint the morning before our 2:00 meeting, and I could tell he read the whole thing because he picked up on the 26.4 for the operating mill was incorrect on the version I had sent him. I think it was 24.6, and he had picked up on that. And then he added, some other comments, and he questioned, some few things for clarification. And the reason MAC is key is that after we submit the package to Charleston County Council on November 5th would be the Charleston County Finance Committee meeting, and that's a key meeting that, MAC is a key participant, that if any of the council representatives, have some questions, they're going to look to MAC sometimes first. Now, Chief, I'm assuming we can call into that meeting and we can be available to answer questions, but
Yeah, that's correct.
yeah, okay, good. But I think MAC's a key player. You want to have MAC supporting you, before you go in for anything that's finance related. So, I thought I got a good vibe from both Anna and from MAC. Jenny Honeycutt, when the chief reached out to her, she asked if we could send her the deck, which we need to send her the corrected deck with the highlights of what, difference on the slide. So I don't know if you want me to send that to her or Chief if you want to, but Jenny's approach was send me the deck, let me look over it. She said, I'll probably talk to Mac first, and then if I have any additional questions, I'll reach out to the chief, for a follow-up. So, that's the way she wanted to approach it. I was kind of disappointed because I preferred to present it to her in more detail, but I did go over all the details with Mac so that if she has any questions, he hopefully can answer her. So that's kind of where we're at. So I have a real good feeling that we're going to be okay. We're not asking for a mill increase. Mac also commented on something about St. John's Fire District that is a real plus, is that we always are very organized with our financial information. We're solid. They like that we plan ahead and that we're sharing a 5-year plan, even though we're only asking for 3-year financing at this point, but we let them see, what we're planning. And, I pointed out we have a lot of development still happening on Johns Island and really on Kiowa and Seabrook. So we need to stay ahead of the game to be able to provide the appropriate services. So we went over all of that. So with all that said, does anyone have any questions about the Main Road purchase? Okay. Then I'd like to make a motion to go forward with the Main Road purchase and to notify them prior to this Wednesday that we are planning on moving forward. And I did see a draft of Donald's letter that we'd be validating the future, criteria and the dates that we need to meet. So do I have a second on motion to move forward on the Main Road agreement?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, Bill seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with a nay?
I oppose.
Okay. Any abstain? Okay, we have 7 approvals and 1 nay. Okay. All righty, so those are the 3 motions that we had tonight. I'd like to go back to the agenda and move back up to the approval of the minutes. You all got a copy in your package for the minutes from the September 14th, 2020 meeting. Are there any comments or corrections on those meeting minutes? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor, aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, any abstain? Okay, Eric, I see that you're on the line, am I correct?
Yes.
Eric, were you available to vote on all three motions?
I believe just two.
Okay, so the first one where we approved the financial statements for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020, do you approve those financial statements?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then the second one was the bond resolution approval. Were you?
Yes,
Did
I
you
voted
vote
yes.
on- Okay, well then that's a 9, yes, okay. And then on the purchase of Main Road then, are you approving that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so that's 8 approval and 1 nay. Okay, all right, so just to go over that again, we have 8-1 on the financial statements, 9 approvals on the bond resolution, and 8-1 on the Main Road purchase, just to make sure that we have the right information in the meeting minutes.
I don't think you have that right, Ted.
Which one?
On the financials, it wasn't 8-1. It was
was one-
8 approvals and I abstained.
Yeah, one abstention,
Okay.
not, yes.
Okay, let me change that to abstain. Okay, so 8-1, all right. Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, I know we don't have anyone on from the public, so any public comments? I assume that response is no. Okay, so Chief, your report?
Okay, that little bit of interruption earlier was a possible entrapment on River Road. But apparently that person got out. So at the end of the day, we're still emergency services. We've had open enrollments that occurred and finished up last week for medical and health. I wanted to reach out to Steve because on the last day of open enrollment is also when the state finally let us know what our census entails. And we have an opportunity, obviously, to have a meeting in November. Steve, I'm just throwing that out to you now. On the HR side, to decide how we will handle the increase. Just to give you all a little bit of information, the increase was about 12.4% in healthcare costs to the district after they did our census and evaluation with the state. So it's not as bad as we anticipated. Not obviously isn't as good as last year. However, costs aren't going down; they're going up. So, 6 in one, half dozen in the other. We also interviewed firefighters last week, experienced firefighters. We have about 9 vacancies right now. It's kind of a balancing act as to how we want to proceed. How many vacancies do we want to carry as opposed to what are we looking at for the future impacts of COVID and to the district and the financials. So we're looking at, we had, I think 8 people show up. So we're kind of looking at how we want to move forward in filling those vacancies or how many vacancies we want to carry into the new year. So it's taking a step back. The healthcare costs increases to the district will not occur until January 1, 2021. So they don't operate on the same fiscal year that we do.
No.
The fire district is still going to be used as a polling place on November 3rd. So the administrative office side of the district will be closed. Obviously, emergency services will be open, and there will be skeleton inside headquarters on November 3rd, just for if the staff, the voting staff need anything on that day.
I'll need coffee.
Denied. No. Just kidding. I do want to give a little bit of praise. You know, this COVID now has been going on for quite some time. And you think that the public doesn't recognize what first responders are going through, but they really do. We had Outback deliver food to every single station and headquarters after the last commission meeting and before this one. And they did it over several days. And I really, you know, it was really a nice gesture. And the personnel really did appreciate it. And so I wanted to make sure and mention that Outback did provide St. John's Fire District with meals. It was a real layout, so it was very nice. In addition to that, on Friday, the district received a $500 donation. And let me tell you why. You know, we have been trying to bring some joy to our constituents by, you know, with small children and their birthdays, they can't celebrate, they can't have get-togethers, and even our senior citizens. And we did that for a small child, and their parents on Friday brought in a whole layout of food for Station 7, who were the participants in this, and headquarters. And they also made a donation to the district at Station 7 of $500. That was in addition to a $100 donation that we got last month for assistance our firefighters gave up on Kiowa to actually a person who was injured from Kennedy Township in Pennsylvania. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because so many times, you know, people reach out to us and they do really nice things. And I just wanted to make sure that we thank them and tell them how much that means to all of our firefighters, because it really does mean a lot, particularly during this COVID with everybody shut in and so on and so forth. So I just want to make sure I mentioned that. With that, Chief Gilcrease, you want to give your report on?
How's everybody doing tonight? You can't if I can see me. There
you go.
So in the month, what month is it? October.
It's October.
So in the month of September, St. John's answered a call 293 times. There was a typo on the stat sheet. I know it doesn't hardly ever happen, but it did this time. There was one of the structure fires that's listed in Station 7's district actually occurred in Station 3, not in Station 7. So there is a correction at the end on the tally. So Johns Island accounted for 160, not 161. Waldemar had 26 instead of 25. Kiowa had 67, and Seabrook Island had 40. That was the end of the third quarter. So going along with the end of the third quarter, give you some of the times that we did. The CDC call processing time was at 55 seconds, which was down a little bit. I think last time it was like 64 or something like that, maybe 63. Our turnout time was 75 seconds. We dropped that down from 76. And our travel time is still 450, which is about 7.5 minutes. And we're holding steady at that one. As far as St. John's versus City of Charleston and vice versa with the auto aid, we have given aid 121 more times than we have received it, and that is year to date. So I just want to make that clear. Is there any questions on that?
No,
No,
sir.
but I think that's the biggest difference I think we've had.
That's that's year to date. I mean, on average, yeah, throughout the year. So it's been holding probably about that. It's kind of been that way for the last few months. So we'll know more at the end of the year, and we can see if we can get our big picture. So this will be the first time we're using the stats directly from the CDC rather than going through our own in-house RMS. It's a little glitchy, so we went that route, but it'll give us a little bit of a picture, I think.
What's the status of the Charleston's fire department building a new station?
Well, that's a really good question. We have heard several different things, that they had acquired specific property on Maybank. We also heard that they were looking at the Berkeley Electric property over on Maybank, their former headquarters on Maybank, which is quite a large piece of property that they were looking at for their maintenance facility and potentially for the fire station, because they have not been able to nail down specifically if they have this property to build a station. They did, as we have discussed earlier, that Station 4 Johns Island was put into their financial package for this budget year. Just don't know where they are on that. Of course, they haven't finished their station out on 17, so I'm not exactly, my understanding is that's supposed to open soon. But I believe that once they they pull the trigger on it finally, it's going to move pretty quickly. Possibly, that's, with our property on Maybank, that may be something that, can be thrown into the mix. We don't know. But we do know that Wickley and the annexations that we're getting are all on Maybank proper, all in proximity to our Station 1 that are being almost completely annexed into the city. Basically, there's not much left in as far as plats go that has not been annexed into the city of Charleston in that specific area. So that much we do know. But to get them to hammer out a hard timeline, Bob, your guess is as good as mine. We just can't seem to, and I'm not sure if that's on their part, whether it has to do with COVID or just is the way these things go when you're dealing with property and potential, purchase or whatever, if people want to, keep things under wraps. It's really hard to say. But we haven't heard anything new. Now, our chiefs meetings have mostly been virtual, and last month's was canceled, unfortunately, due to a funeral that many of the firefighters were participating in. So I will try and bring that up again privately with the chief of the city of Charleston, if that's appropriate.
And would it also be worthwhile to bring up the fact, the disproportionate amount of auto aid that's going on?
Well, I can't really say that it's disproportionate. And I'll just give you an example. Since our last meeting in October, we had a very large fire on Wamala that many of our auto aid partners were involved with. And in fact, one of our auto aid partners was first on the scene because we had units that were out on training that were away in proximity from their station, and the city of Charleston ended up being first on the scene. The fire was pretty involved when the phone call came in, and it ended up being a pretty big loss. However, our auto aid partners are always there for us. So, disproportionate is kind of relative on the impacts of when we need them and when they're there. For example, and I'll give you another example, on Kiowa at the hotel, the amount of resources that were at the hotel for that fire was phenomenal. And the backup that we receive on those calls, kind of balances us answering other calls. Right now for us, I would have to say is probably still pretty even, if you would agree.
I think so. And like the chief, we were talking the other day, and even though we go to these fires and we go to these incidents and we do get the backup on that, what a lot of times people don't see is when they come in, they backfill our stations while everybody else is out, doing the work. Those aren't really ever counted in the stats because it's kind of as needed, and it's just not something that anybody tracks. But they're backfilling us. I know they're backfilling our stations a lot more than we're doing theirs. So
Okay.
yeah.
And what he means by backfilling is covering the rest of our area while all of our firefighters are concentrated on a specific house. We still have coverage for our response district. So that also carries a lot of weight. And so like 6 in one, half dozen in the other. So October is historically Fire Prevention Month. And so even though COVID is here, we have not lost the fact that October is Fire Prevention Month. And I'm going to turn this over to Ryan because his team has been doing a lot of work still in the area of fire prevention. And I want to add that we just did take possession of a new fire prevention vehicle that arrived last week. So, Ryan.
Oh, zoom me up a little bit, Chief, if you would. I got this. There, I'm good. Good. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope everybody's well. So a couple things going on first. I'll touch on our last month of September. There were 28 smoke alarm installations with 4 car seat checks as well. So that is being done by an appointment basis only at this point. We did have, you will see STJFD firefighters this month in some different t-shirts for the month of October. This is part of our breast cancer awareness drive that we've done the last couple of years now. And in this year, it's actually a bluer t-shirt with some pink lettering, but a very nice shirt. Captain Manti runs that and set that program up this year. Actually tomorrow, we are donating $2,780 to the Hollings Cancer Institute as a donation from St. John's Fire Department. And I appreciate Chief Walls and Chief Stanley with their support in that program as well. That's up, I think, $700 from last year. Okay, what I'm going to attempt to do next, like Chief said, we are in Fire Prevention Week month, and we are doing some different things virtually. We've met with some of the schools virtually. The fire marshals group in our area came together to do a video that was put together by City of North Charleston. Last I checked, it had about 20,000 views almost. But I'm going to show you that video right now as well. Bear with me just a second. I hope you guys can see this. All right, hold on just a second. I'm going to try this. Mr. Blake, can you see that on my screen, on your screen?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, here it goes.
The events and activities will look a little different this year.
Even though we can't come together for large events, fire safety is more important than ever.
It's even more important to plan, practice, and prepare and encourage fire-safe behavior with our kids, as many are working from home in a virtual environment.
Please take the time to make fire safety a priority in your home.
Take time to meet with your family and develop a home escape plan. Start by creating a basic floor plan of your home.
Include the location of doors and windows on the plan and identify 2 ways out of each room. Mark and identify smoke alarms and fire extinguishers on your plan. Select a family meeting place away from the home that would be a mailbox or a large tree.
Once you have developed your plan, meet with everybody in your home and practice your plan. If they encounter smoke, remind everyone to crawl low and go. When escaping a fire, get out as quickly as possible and stay out. After escaping, call 911.
Make sure your children know that the 911 operator is going to ask them for their name and address and the exact nature of the problem when they call. Take the time to teach your children how to dial 911 and also teach them that only use 911 if there's an emergency.
And take time to make sure your address numbers are posted and visible for first responders to see.
Kitchen fires remain one of the most common fire causes in the country.
It's also one of the most preventable. Always stay in the kitchen while you are cooking. Watch what you heat and be prepared to react to a fire emergency.
Grease fires can be very dangerous. Consider keeping a fire extinguisher in your kitchen. Keep the pan lid handy to smother the fire. Remember, water and grease fires don't mix. Don't try to extinguish the grease fire with water, and please do not move the pan.
Create a 3-foot kid and pet-free zone around your cooking appliances. This will reduce the potential of burn injuries. Turn pan handles inwards to reduce the potential of knocking the pan over.
Please take time to review kitchen safety with your kids. You need to determine at what age your kids can safely help you cook in the kitchen. It is important to instill fire safety behaviors early.
Smoke alarms are one of the most important fire safety devices in your home.
Unfortunately, we still encounter a number of homes each year with non-functional alarms due to missing batteries, or homes that are not protected by any smoke alarms.
Smoke alarms help detect a fire early and increase the available time to escape. Alarms should be installed inside of each bedroom, outside the sleeping area, and on each level of the home. Interconnected alarms, where the activation of one alarm activates all alarms, increases the protection in your home.
Be sure to test your smoke alarms monthly. Alarms may require batteries to be changed once a year. Newer alarms may be equipped with a 10-year battery. Check the manufacture date of your smoke alarms, as many smoke alarms only last for 10 years.
And be sure to activate your alarms while practicing your home escape plan, so everyone in the home is familiar with the sound of your smoke alarms. If you need help obtaining or installing your smoke alarms, please call your local fire department. On behalf of your local fire departments, please take the time to make fire safety a priority in your home. Thank you.
I thank you. City of North Charleston helped us put that together, and our response partners, including Mount Pleasant as well. So we thank them for that. If you didn't get enough of me in that, just for a second, I was on, if you go to our Facebook page, I was able to do a 10 to 15 minute presentation with Kyle Jordan, who's an anchor there, talking all things about Fire Prevention Month as well. So that's on our Facebook page as well. So thank you for your time. And like I said, if you need to see that video again or share it, it is on our Facebook page. Any questions for fire prevention?
But I thought this video was very good. Leroy had actually forwarded it to me, and I saw it before, but I thought it was really thorough and well done.
Good, thank you, thank you. Yep, it's we were looking at different ways on how we could reach more people and come together, and they've got a great great videographer at North Charleston that dedicated their time to help us. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before I finish up, I just wanted to say that our firefighters at St. John's and Local 3883 are still sponsoring the golf outing, which is Friday, October 16th, 2020. So I want to say this is probably the biggest event with the most participation to date scheduled for this event. So they really worked hard to put this together. I'm very happy, and it is again this Friday, October 16th.
Before we move on, is there any resolution to that, what was it, the squad truck that was in the accident?
They finally totaled the squad, and so we did get the other portion of the insurance with that, and we're looking into the new year to look at what we can purchase. So we were trying to keep the squads in synchronization together as far as that goes. So my Tahoe will now become the second squad, so that we'll have two Tahoes and everything will be in the same place as far as on a medical side. And then the new vehicle we'll look at towards the new year.
Good.
Yeah, and Suchitra has that in her financial report when we get to it. She did note, settlement on the 2019 Chevy Tahoe. Before we move on to the next agenda item, Chief, I noticed there was an article in the paper that the firefighters' cancer protection bill passed the House, and it had already passed the Senate. It said it was going to McMaster for signing. Did you hear if the governor signed that bill?
Yes, he finally did sign that bill, and I want to say that's a huge step forward for the firefighters in South Carolina. We're unfortunately one of the last states to sign off on it, but better late than never. It's a huge benefit for our firefighters across South Carolina.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Okay, Suchitra, to go over the financial report, and if you want to go over not only just your financial report and your dashboard, and your dashboard, if you want to go over both, please.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to report the quarter ended 2020 financial report. So overall budget remaining for the year is 75%, and the overall budget to actual that we have is about 75.32%. So we are very close to our budget. Operating balances as of September was 5.6 million. The LGIP was at 11,595. Revenue, September collection included 35,760. Out of that, we received the settlement for the 2019 Chevy that was totaled earlier this year, in the amount of 28,299. The wire transfer from Charleston County for the property taxes for August was 72,958. We also received the TAN in the amount of 2 million from the Charleston County as well. Our year-to-date OT non-standard is at 65,000. The capital GEO bond that is available for 2018 GEO bond is 6.3 million. Any questions on the financial report? So moving forward, I had distributed the monthly financial dashboard for September. And the year-to-date property taxes increased by 138,000 from last year. The August 2020 property taxes received in September was 73,000. The year-to-date operating expenses as of September is at 3.5 million. The expenses for August and September were having a similar trend. Expenses increased by 560,000 from last year. So, and that is as a result of recognizing expenses in the appropriate years and identifying the accruals systematically. The bond balance and cash balance, I already talked to you about that in the financial report. Our year-to-date standard from last fiscal year was about $10,000 more. The year-to-date salaries included the regular and the salary overtime, which is at 1.5 million compared to 1.2 million last year. And the vacation sick pay was about 153,000 compared to last fiscal year of 124,000. So our staff efficiency for September is around 88%. Also wanted to provide an update on the COVID-19 related personal expenses for September was 628.74, which is 2,874. And our year-to-date was about 34,361. Staffing requirements are, we have 21 officers, 33 engineers. We're supposed to have 66 firefighters, but we currently require 8 firefighters more. So our current staff is 131.
It's already changed.
But this is as of September. Yeah. And then and also any expenses that are approved by over 25,000, we had purchased the electrical Hearst rescue tools from MES, which was over 25,000. Our HR updates, the September workers' comp injuries, we had 3 incidents. 2 were less than 1 day missed and 1 out since September 1, 2020. Our recruiting updates are during the month of September, recruitment for firefighter candidates was posted. Interviews and testing were conducted this month, last week. Any questions on the dashboard? Awesome.
Okay, thank you. Donald, the attorney's update?
Nothing really to update, except for the purchase of the property. And I just wanted to thank all the people on the committee for being available and involved in the process. It's gone remarkably smoothly, and I hope it continues to do so.
Do you have any topics to discuss in an executive session?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Any old business to discuss? Any new business to discuss? Okay. Bill, the building committee report?
Okay. Station 6, we still have the 2 outstanding items involved there. The patio, the slope patio repair is being priced by Choate at this point. The architect did draw up a sketch to repair that so that Choate could price it using the sketch. And there's no update on the ponding repair at the front apron. The last I heard, the architect was still trying to get a meeting with Kika to discuss trying to get them to contribute more money to the project. Station 5, the generator install. This is a generator that came from Station 4. It's to be installed at Station 5. That installation will be done by Choate. Choate will provide temporary power for the 1 week that it takes to install that generator. And then Nixon Electric will rewire the voltage on that generator from 208 to 240 under a separate contract PO with St. John's, and that frets for $1,912. And that order was signed today by Chief Walls. Station 4, the dormitory floor concrete is poured. That was poured on Monday. Last Monday. That's about 70 yards that was poured that day. Went very well. The rear stairway is installed. They don't have the concrete poured in the steps, but you can at least get up to the dormitory floor level now from that rear stairway. Rear stairway, by the way, is the one that's toward the road, toward the parkway. That is the rear of the building officially. So that's the rear stairway. The elevated patio, it definitely slopes away from the building. You can stand on the ground and see that it slopes properly. Ryan made sure that he was not going to have the same problem that we had at Station 6 with that. The standby generator at the trailer has not yet been repaired. I'm not sure the status of that, but I did find out talking to Matt Loomis that that is a 3-phase generator and the trailer is single phase. So it's actually a good thing that the generator wasn't working. Otherwise it would have blown the system of the trailer. So yeah, that's still ongoing. I think I'm pretty sure David Myers is handling that. So and then the 825 Main Road, besides the things we've already talked about, I spoke with DHEC this past week about the well and the septic system. I first spoke to the general number at DHEC, and then they referred me to 2 separate people in the Department of Environmental Affairs. One handles the water well and the other one handles the septic system. So the existing well cannot be used for potable water. So we will have to connect into St. John's water. So we'll have to investigate that and see what that cost is going to be. Although I expect that could be just part of the architect's work when he does the maintenance building. We can keep the well for truck washing or just washing off the concrete pads or whatever, but we can't drink it. The septic tank, it has to be located, mapped, and the size confirmed and feasibility determined for reuse. That has to all be assessed by a licensed septic tank installer. I have contacted 2 local septic tank installers that were recommended by DHEC. Well, they couldn't recommend them, but they gave me a whole list for the entire state, and there were 2 located on Johns Island. So those are the 2 that I called. But I have not had a reply back from either of those yet. So if the septic tank is able to be reused, then we will need to apply to DHEC, the Environmental Affairs Department, for permit. If it's not deemed feasible, then we would have to have a new one designed and installed. And again, that would be part of the maintenance building architectural work. So that's it. Any questions? Okay.
Eric, would you have any idea where the septic tanks are? He might be on mute. I didn't know if he maybe remember after.
I believe it's right behind the office. I'm not sure. There's some stakes there, and I believe that's protecting the septic tank.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought if you have a general idea, it might help a little bit to locate them. Okay, thank you.
Eric, I had noticed there's a new patch of asphalt that leads from where the toilet rooms are in the building to the south towards the what is it, the treehouse property there, into that fenced in area that is ours. And I'm just wondering if that septic tank might be in there, because they would need some area that's not covered by asphalt for the leach bed. So I don't know if that's possible or not. Any thoughts on that?
The septic tank that was put in there was put in many years ago. So where that other spot is, there used to be another packing shed there, and they had 2 septic tanks over there for that packing shed. But I don't know what's happened to them when they put it in the packing shed. So.
Okay. All right. Well, if the existing leach bed is under that blacktop, then I know that's going to be a problem. So it sounds like I'll find out. Get the septic tank inspector out there to locate the tank or tanks, and we'll find out. But I'd be prepared to put in a new septic system. That's
well, I believe a lot of the septic tank companies, they have workarounds, and they can basically run a line up from the septic tank if it's there, and just put a new leach field straight across from the packing sheds.
Okay.
And have to operate there. So.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have if there's no other questions on the building committee.
Okay, thank you, Bill. As far as the finance committee is concerned, we already went over my topics when we had the motion for the financial statement approval and the bond resolution approval. So on the human resource committee, Steve, do you have any comments, or do you want to work with the chief and determine when you want to schedule a meeting?
Yes, we did not have a meeting, so there's no comments. And I thought we might touch on some possible dates during the executive committee.
Okay. Eric, I know we didn't have a strategic planning committee meeting. Do you have any comments?
No, not at this time. I'm kind of waiting for the completion of the deal with the packing sheds so we can move forward on what that whole project's going to entail.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public or firefighter comments. Do we have any firefighter comments? Okay, commissioner comments. Bill, do you have any comments?
No, I don't have any, Deb.
Okay. Steve, do you have any comments?
Just thank you to all the firefighters for all they do, and please stay safe.
Okay. Bob, do you have any comments?
No comments on my part.
Okay. Eric, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay. Leroy?
Yes, just tell everyone to please stay safe, drive safely, and watch out for Leroy.
I always slow down when I go past your house.
Thank you.
Frank had to drop off the call. Ike, do you have any comments?
Yes, just to reiterate that I'd like the positive thing that the fire prevention crew is doing, and for us as commissioners to continue doing our work, working for the citizens of all the islands here locally, and pray for one another as we go along. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, do you have any comments?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you to Chief and her staff and to the firefighters and also to the commissioners. Let's be safe and be careful. Thank you.
Okay, and I have no comment. Okay, I have no items for the executive session. Steve mentioned about scheduling an HR meeting, but are there any other topics that we should move to executive session?
Well, Deb, I can certainly contact the chief for a date and then reach out to the committee and the commissioners on some possible dates.
Okay.
That would be fine. That would be fine, Steve.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, in the number of years that I've been on the Fire Commission, this is the first time that I think I'm going to say we have no topics to move into executive session. So, Donald, is it appropriate for me to not have to dismiss to that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's nice. It's nice to make it all public. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So are there any other items that anyone wants to discuss, questions, comments before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, everybody's quiet tonight. We got a lot done.
Take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah, well, in 1 hour, I feel like we made a lot of headway, so that's a big
Yeah, we
plus.
did.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah, I think Steve maybe a second. So all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Is anyone